Diamande, Cossanu and Aperi. Four in midfield of...
Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game has just got underway in Philadelphia. Curacao taking on the Ivory Coast, and a big game for both sides. Curacao know that if they win, they give themselves a real chance of potentially finishing second in the group, and certainly they'll be in with a decent shout of being one of the third place sides that go through. But for the Ivory Coast, they know that if they win, they're definitely going to be in second place, having already secured a win against Ecuador, albeit a late goal, and it wasn't the best performance from them. And indeed, they were a little bit disappointing against Germany, having taken that lead and then letting it slip late on with two late goals from Dennis Under. But we are underway here in Philadelphia. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and Dale Rosso. Say the action. Dale, we're just saying off air before the game kicked off, it's good to be in this game because there's still so much riding on it.
Yeah, it's as close as you can get to a knockout game before we actually get into the knockouts, really. Of course, if Ivory Coast, at least as long as they don't draw, they should be going through to the round of 32. And Curacao, well, it's a must-win game for them, so there is high stakes on the line.
High stakes on the line. I can tell you, of course, the other game in this group is on our service as well, and there's already been a goal in that game between Ecuador and Germany, and it's Leroy Sané who's given Germany the lead inside 2 minutes. In that game, so a big goal for as far as this game's concerned as well, of course, because both Curacao and Ivory Coast would prefer that Ecuador lose that game, so that's a good start. Here come Curacao with Tati Chong now getting towards the edge of the area, just stops his run, but then he goes for goal. He just stings the palms of the goalkeeper, pushed away by Fofana, and the ball eventually will just be taken on control here by Kuela Due. But all of a sudden, the middle of the park just opened up there for Tati Chong, and if anything, he doubted himself.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I don't think he expected to have as much time as he did on the ball to take his shot. In the end, just forces it straight into the hands of Fofana. And of course, the goalkeeper had to make the save, had to have two strong hands behind it, but let off early on.
Yeah, let's off early on. Just to remind you, it is room in goal for Curacao. Then it's a back five of Brene, Gari, Obispo, Floranes and Fonville. Then it's four across the middle of Chong, Comencencia, Leandro Bacuna and Juninho Bacuna, with Lacadia as the front man. For Ivory Coast, it is Fofana in goal. Then it's Due, Usman Diamande, Cossanu and Operi as the back four. Then it's four in midfield of Diallo, Kessi, Sangare and Yan Diamande, with Pepe and Boni as the two up front. Long ball down the left-hand side here for Lacadia to chase, but that will easily be closed off there by Cossanu, going back towards his goalkeeper, and Fofana then rolling this ball out towards the left-hand side for Perry. And just in terms of any concerns about rain delays, we have checked the forecast. There's no thunderstorms forecast over Philadelphia this evening. So there should be no delays. If anything, there's going to be a potential heat issue, because I think it's around 28, 29 degrees there now. To try and make these games a little bit more Europe friendly, they are playing them sort of early evening or afternoon sort of US time, but the ball now played back towards the halfway line. It is Ivory Coast in possession down the right hand side now with Due. Support here from Diallo. Diallo just runs that ball a little bit too far, leaves that one for Floranes, and a quick possession there for Curacao. But just as quickly as I say that, Ahmad wins the ball back here for Ivory Coast. And we're going to get a quick replay of that goal in the other game. As I say, that is available on our service as well. And Germany just finding too much space inside that penalty area. A little bit of an overload and a comfortable finish in the end there from Sané.
Yeah, it seemed like he, as you said, too much space in the middle. Sané just putting it into the bottom left corner. Germany back to scoring ways.
Absolutely, perfect start there for Germany, who are looking in dangerous form. But here come Ivory Coast, the ball put it into the penalty area. Oh, Pepe just couldn't quite get his foot on it. It's a lovely little through ball to Nicolas Pepe, but he couldn't quite pull the trigger. Tati Chong now brings the ball away for Curacao. And then it's Frank Kessi out toward the right-hand side here now for Brene. Brene moving forward, but no options here. Playing this one straight back towards Comencencia. His ball towards the edge of the area is quickly nodded clear. Chance here now for Ivory Coast to go on the charge, but the ball down the left-hand side is just a little bit overhit, and that will be back into Curacao control. Gari and going across towards Floranes. But that was half a chance there for Nicolas Pepe. The ball just wouldn't sit on his foot quite nicely enough.
Yeah, I think similar to Hee Chong, and with his chance moments ago, I just don't think he understood how much space he actually had to get the ball out from his feet and then take his shot. But in the end, Curacao coming away with the ball and giving it back to Ivory Coast.
Yeah, not the best ball there from Brene. There were other options in that. He tried a very risky low percentage ball out towards Juninho Bacuna on the left-hand side, but it was a long way off its intended target. Now it's Ivory Coast back in possession in their orange strip this evening. Curacao in all blue. And the ball down the right-hand side now for Due. Back in towards Cossanu. Diamande towards Operi now. And say, even though it's been a bit of a lively start, I do expect that once the game settles down, we would expect Ivory Coast to have more of the ball, really.
Yeah, they definitely would. I think Ivory Coast are going to come into this game understanding that they are the better side and they should really control this game. They've got players like Sangare and Kese who can control the midfield, and obviously Diallo and Diamande who are electric on the wing, so they should, in all realistic outcomes, win this game. But obviously that's what we love about the World Cup, that teams like Curacao can come and make a name for themselves.
Absolutely, and when you think of the entire population of Curacao, it's 100,000 people. I mean, there are towns, never mind cities, there are towns in the UK that are bigger than that, and it's fantastic to see that they have made it to the World Cup. That's certainly going to put them on the footballing and indeed the tourist map, certainly a place that I'm sure more people are going to visit now that they become more aware of it. But Curacao with some defending to do now as the ball played all the way towards the edge of the area, and there's a bit of an awkward ricochet there into the sing. Oh, that's a lovely finish from Nicola Pepe, and that is where Curacao have sadly paid for a little bit of lax defending there. It was Ivory Coast pushing in down the left-hand side, and actually there was half a chance there. It looked like it was a chance for Gari to clear it, but then he actually played the ball straight back to the Ivory Coast man, and then what a smart finish that is from Pepe.
Yeah, I think they've let themselves down there, have Curacao, early on in the game. Probably the worst time really to concede, because it's so disheartening going into the rest of the match. Ivory Coast believe now that they can go on and cruise through this match, but yeah, they've let themselves down, just giving the ball away on the edge of their own penalty area. Lax defending, as you said, Paul, and Ivory Coast getting the job done.
I mean, yeah, there's two occasions to get rid of that ball. Gari on both occasions needs to do better. Just turn and fire that towards the halfway line rather than trying to play a short ball that's overhit to your own teammate on the goal line. It's far too risky. And then once that ball is played, Yan Diamande, but take nothing away, Pepe sweeping that ball very, very quickly. And we have an early goal in this game as well. But yeah, once that ball is played to Nicola Pepe, it was always going to be too late. And the former Arsenal man absolutely loving that one. And the Curacao players are certainly not loving that one, because they were making a decent start to this game, trying to match Ivory Coast for sort of energy levels and trying to be a bit more direct. But we can see straight away Leandro Bacuna just beckoning his teammates to get this ball forward. They must have, they've got to have a plan B. They must have expected there was a chance they were going to concede first, and they're pushing forward straight away here now. Chong towards Brene, back to Chong, working into the penalty area. There are 5 Curacao players in the box if Chong can get across him, but he's been held up by 2 Ivory Coast players, and in the end, as he tries to nutmeg the first, he does actually get the ball away from Kessie, but there's just too many orange Ivory Coast shirts in the way, and eventually the ball is clear to the halfway line. Pepe with a header down, and Ivory Coast can take control of the ball here now down the right-hand side. Here is Douay. I thought he might have been pushed in the back there, and our referee Glenn Nyberg decides that yes, that is the case. That will be a free kick to Ivory Coast, and this is where Curacao have got to really watch it, because now they're going to be really keen to win that ball back. And if Ivory Coast, and we know how experienced their players are, they're going to want to win the odd free kick, let the ball go out for a throw, just to slow the game down a bit. Yeah, it's exactly that. I think Juninho Bacuna there very clearly wanting to win the ball back a little bit, maybe too overzealous, but in the other game, maybe a little bit of an upset. Ecuador have an equaliser. Yeah, and it's a beautiful equaliser as well. A curling effort from just outside the penalty area. To say that game is available on our service as well, and it is Angulo, Nilson Angulo with the goal. Playing for Sunderland, of course. Getting a goal there to equalise for Ecuador. So this group is still very much alive as the ball played towards the edge of the Curacao penalty area. It is just about scrambled clear, and it is out for a throw to Ivory Coast here on the right-hand side. Douay takes it quickly, maybe even a little bit too quickly, but that's really good work. Superb here to keep the ball alive just at the edge of the area. Then a turn and shot and goal, and it's just wide. Really good work there from Pepe to actually keep the ball. It looked like he'd got into a cul-de-sac, but he still managed to find space to get the ball to Ahmad. Yeah, and I think the shot there from Ahmad certainly is the right option. I think when it left the boot, it looked like it was going to curve a little bit more. And then once Room made his way across his goal, he realised that it was... He never whipped it, did he? He was trying to get a bit more bend on the ball, but never actually got that rotation that he would have liked there, Ahmad Diallo. But he's always a player you want in your team, because he is somebody who can make something out of nothing. And we've certainly seen flashes of it for Manchester United. I'm sure we're going to see more in the coming season. So confirmation, we've already had 3 goals inside the first 10 minutes across the 2 games. 1-1 between Ecuador and Germany. And it's Curacao 0, Ivory Coast 1 in this game. That's plenty more to come overnight on this service. The conclusion of 2 more groups before UK breakfast time tomorrow. So Japan against Sweden and Tunisia against the Netherlands. They're both midnight kickoffs. And then at 3 a.m. UK time, you've got Paraguay against Australia and Turkey against the USA. That's the thing about the World Cup. You wait months and months for it, and then before you know it, less than 2 weeks after it starts, the group stage is pretty much wrapping up.
Yeah, it certainly is. A blinking you'll miss it sort of event, and the fact that it only happens once every 4 years adds to that torture for most football fans, but it really is a brilliant experience.
It is, and it's actually been even longer since we've had an out-and-out Summer World Cup as well, of course, with the previous one in Qatar. But now Ivory Coast giving the ball away at midfield, and there's half a chance. Lakadia leaves this one in for Juninho Bakuna into the penalty area. Oh, he's taken it too wide, and there's too many Ivory Coast players tracking now, and a combination of Ahmad and Kosunu have dispossessed him. But Juninho Bakuna should have passed that ball a lot earlier.
Yeah, he had to move the ball a lot quicker there. Bakuna just, I think he was caught in 2 minds. Did he want to pass it? Did he want to take a shot? In the end, it's the hesitation that's led to defeat, because he didn't do either.
Didn't do either, but that's a bit of encouragement there for Curacao. There is still the odd mistake in this Ivory Coast midfield. Nice little run here from Comensis here, getting towards the edge of the area, leaves it for Tati Chong. Chong then rolls it to Brene down the right-hand side into the 6-yard box. It's palmed away by Fafana, and then taken away here now by Yan Diamande, who just skips away from Tati Chong. Plays this one straight through midfield, almost runs into the referee, and he's going to get himself a free kick there. It's a little bit too much contact from Yuri and Gari. But yeah, Curacao, when they get the ball, they want to go forward. It's just a case of what they do once they get into the penalty area.
Yeah, I think they moved the ball around very well. I like the way they're passing the ball to the wings, but in the same sense that they're failing to actually pull the trigger. Two chances now they've had inside the penalty area to Hee Chong and Bakuna on the far side, and neither one of them actually unleashed a shot.
No, they've just got to be that little bit braver. It's one thing to actually win the ball and charge forward towards the penalty area, but they've got to be able to do something with it once they get into the box. And that was a much better chance there, I think. The previous one for Juninho Bakuna, he almost had too much time at the edge of the area, just waiting a little bit too long before he was dispossessed. But a bright start in this game. 12 minutes on the clock. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary from Philadelphia. Curacao 0, Ivory Coast 1. One between Ecuador and Germany. It's Ivory Coast in possession now with Osman Diamande. It's short now to Sangare, playing from really deep here. Sangare, Nottingham Forest man. It's the ball back here from Pepe, and the ball is a little bit loose there, played forward, and it's picked off here by Floranis, and it's down the left-hand side. Another chance here for Curacao. They just slow down a little bit in midfield, but that's really good work. The two Bakuna brothers combining well there. There should have been a free kick, I think, for the foul there on Juninho. He certainly hit the deck, but our Swedish referee not interested. Yeah, not interested was Nyberg. I think there's certainly a lot of contact. I think, in my opinion, it should have been a free kick, but we have seen a lot more referees be lenient or more strict, but they're certainly not consistent with each other. No, they're not. And as I say, doing a game the other night, was refereed by Istvan Kovac, the very strict Romanian referee that we know from Champions League games. He let everything go. I'm not sure he booked a single player in the game. It was quite unusual. They certainly have been told, referees, that we don't want too many good players suspended towards the end of the tournament. That certainly seems to be the theme at World Cups. I certainly remember from my younger days some really big players missing out on World Cup finals because of really silly yellow cards, and I think it's almost like FIFA trying to take that jeopardy away a little bit, which is fine up to a point. I mean, we know that it is a game for the fans, but can't be too blatant with the way that they're just letting things go. But Fonville now pushing forward. Curacao, they're doing good work here down the left-hand side. Juninho Bakuna back in towards Fonville. He couldn't carry on his run, but he plays it back towards Comensencia. Comensencia then switching play over towards the right-hand side. He sits up nicely for Gari, and Gari does go for goal. He just drags it wide. I thought he'd missed his window there where he didn't quite hit it first time when the ball sat up for him, but in the end he produced a decent shot anyway. Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing. It's a good shot, but he certainly did hesitate when he took it, and maybe that's why he dragged it just too far wide, but it's not a bad shot from where he is, and of course centre-half, you don't necessarily expect them to shoot, but can always do better. Decent. I mean, he certainly put his laces through that one, and a couple of the Curacao players applauding that. The Curacao fans certainly enjoying that one as well. They'd love to see a goal in this first half because there's a decent bank of those Curacao fans right behind the Ivory Coast goal as well. They'd certainly like to get front row views for that, but the ball has gone out for a throw here. Curacao wanted the throw on the left-hand side as they look. The decision has gone Ivory Coast's way, so now it's back with Kosunu, who just dwelt on the ball, and then he played a very quick back pass to his goalkeeper. It's almost like a goalie coach trying to catch out his goalkeeper in training, but luckily Fafana was awake to it. Yeah, maybe the goalie coach had done that in training because he seemed prepared for it. Kosunu
maybe just wasn't looking where his goalkeeper was and played it back with a bit too much speed, but Ivory Coast dealt with it as well as they could.
I just wonder maybe if Kosunu thought he was a little bit further up the field, because they were pushed back a little bit there, Ivory Coast. I think he probably thought he was at the edge of the area rather than at the edge of the 6-yard box. But in the meantime, it's Yandi Amande who's pushed forward for Ivory Coast down the left-hand side. He couldn't keep the ball in play though, so it is a throw to Curacao on the right-hand side. Joshua Brene is waiting to take it. Options here for Brene. Decent long throw, trying to get it through towards Lecadia, who dropped a little bit deeper now. And for a lot of the time, I think Lecadia is almost going to have to play as an additional midfielder, because there's not going to be that many direct balls to him, really, is there?
No, there certainly isn't. I think Lecadia, I think he's got it in his locker to drop deeper and obviously hold up the ball and bring others into play, because as we've seen, Chong and Bacunia on the left-hand side, they've both been able to get in behind, so if he can drop deep, pick up the ball, I think Curacao have options to move forward there.
They do, and so they're going to try to do that on the next occasion they go forward, because right now they've got some defending to do, and it's really good work here from Pepe and Ahmad, linking up nicely on the right-hand side. Almost too many passes there, just slows the move down, but now Doué has gotten involved as well, just trying to find a little bit of space at the edge of the area. Ahmad's moved towards the penalty area, but 3 Curacao players closing him down just at the edge of the box, and then the ball served up to Doué anyway. He gets the cross in. It just gets away initially from Bonny. It's bouncing at the edge of the area, still kept alive for Yandi Amande, playing it back towards Operi. Operi then trying to get it on the second ball, but it's just a bit of a heavy touch there as he was trying to get it on the run, and it's out for a goal kick.
And I think surprisingly enough, it's the first time Ivory Coast have actually put a good ball into the box, and Antoine Bonny's he's not a small striker by any means, so certainly could be a threat for Ivory Coast going forward, and surprisingly enough, it's took them 17 minutes to get a ball into him.
Yeah, it's taken a while, and certainly from Ivory Coast's point of view, if they get a bit more attacking possession as this game wears on, you'd like to think they're going to be able to find Bonny, because he really is a dangerous number 9. More your sort of big, stocky forward rather than the sort of tricky forward that Nicola Pepe is. As the ball is shanked, very strange attempted clearance there from Doué. I think he's just very lucky that he did it in a central position. I mean, to put it into context, he sliced that ball at least 30 yards in the wrong direction from where he wanted it to go. But thankfully, still stayed in play for Perry to get it back to his teammates.
Yeah, I think, really poor there from Doué. Really, just I don't see the reason for him to be clearing it that way. Just bring it down and get it back underway, because what he's done there is slowed the potential counter-attack for Ivory Coast and allowed Curacao to fully reset.
And in the meantime, it's Ivory Coast that have pushed forward down the left-hand side, and it's Yandi Amande. Oh, there was a push inside the area, but we play on the ball into Ahmad, and just as he was about to pull the trigger, there's a Curacao player just running across his path, deflecting that ball away from Amad Diallo, and I actually think that it probably does come off a Ivory Coast player last. First of all, let's have a look. Is there any argument for a penalty here? No, I don't think so. I think Bonny's actually tripped the Curacao man first before he's then fallen into Bonny. But it's been given as a goal kick, I think, after all of that.
Yeah, I think it was a tangle of legs on the edge of the area, and then obviously the Curacao defender falls down, not allowing Bonny to get on the end of the ball. And the cross into Ahmad just takes that little deflection before he can put his foot through the ball, and it does actually come off of the Manchester United man before going out.
That's come off him last, and he wasn't able to keep it in play. But Curacao only enjoyed a few moments of possession here before Ivory Coast back on the ball again. Here is Doué, just playing it back towards Sangare. Kosunu back now to Fafana, who's quickly having to play it out towards the left-hand side. Good touch there from Perry, just keeps it away from Tati Chong. Here is Christopher Perry again. Now Frank Kessie, who scored the winner in that win against Ecuador. Back now to Diamande, and now it's with Ahmad on the right-hand side. But Curacao, to their credit, they're playing a very high line, which can be risky because there is a bit of pace in this Ivory Coast team, certainly down the flanks with Yandi Amande and Ahmad Diallo. But they are trying to make things as congested as possible. Yeah,
they really are. I think that's visible in the fact that they've chosen such a formation as well, 5-4-1. Really looking to, as you said, congest that midfield and even the edge of their own penalty area, not allowing the Ivorian players to have that freedom of space to move around, because we know they are all tricky players. They like to dribble and move the ball, but Curacao doing the best they can to stuff that.
No, they are, and I think when you see the five at the back for Curacao, you often see that it's 3 central defenders and then 2 wide men. In Curaçao's case, it really is a back 5, although Brené and Fonville have been allowed to push forward when they're in possession. They really do sit as a 5 at the back, making things as difficult as possible, but Ivory Coast in the meantime are enjoying possession inside the Curacao half. It's with Frank Kessie, back now towards Sangare. Kessie again. Options left and right here, but Ivory Coast for the time being are just quite happy to keep it in slow, steady position. Now a ball played towards the edge of the area has just been cut out. Crucial interception there from Fonville for its clip down towards the left-hand side. Lovely flick up in the air there from Juninho Bacuna, but then he runs into Doué and then he fouls him as well, and that's going to be a free kick in favour of Ivory Coast.
Yeah, I think, again, he was just carrying the ball forward, but didn't took like a heavy touch and then didn't want to lose possession really, so bringing his man down with more of a tangle of legs than anything. It's not like he's brought him down intentionally, but still a foul nonetheless.
Absolutely, the referee certainly couldn't enjoy that. He's not had too much work to do so far, as Mr. Nyberg, another referee we know very well from our time commentating on European competitions, only one of the top UEFA referees. And say a fairly easy game so far, not too many decisions for the referee to make. But now Yan Diamande pushing down the left-hand side, gets well marshalled though at the edge of the area. Brené was brought down. The referee wants to give an advantage, but it's not going to be there. Unfortunately, Brené just couldn't quite get the ball away quickly enough, so it will be a free kick to Curacao. So it does at least take that little bit of momentary pressure off them. Yeah, it really does. I think it's the right decision from the referee. Brené comes away with the ball, and it's a late challenge coming in there from, I think it's Sangare trying to help out on the left-hand side, and yeah, he's always late, doesn't win the ball, and free kick to Curacao. Free kick to Curacao, and the ball played now towards the halfway line, quickly won back here, and played across now towards Sangare. Kessie now spotting Pepe down towards Diallo, but again, everything's been well marshalled here by Curacao, so Ivory Coast forced to go back towards their own penalty area. Has to be said that although they've had a couple of half chances to get in the box, since that Ivory Coast goal, it's Curacao that have looked more likely to get the next one. Yeah, they really have. I think they've responded well to going 1-0 down. I think, as you said, there was always going to be an understanding that Curacao could have come into this game and conceded first, as they have, and I think they've responded really, really well to that fact, but Ivory Coast coming forward now. Yeah, great long ball to pick out Amad Diallo. He's working his way into the box, gets it onto his left foot, strikes it. That is square into the face of Yuri Ngari. That's going to be a stoppage in play for a head injury. I think Ivory Coast wanted to play on, but the referee has decided that we have to stop. Ironically, just as the referee was blowing his whistle to stop play for a head injury, the man who was actually hit in the face actually got up, so maybe we didn't need to stop play. But saying that, if I got hit square at the face from around 10 yards with an Amad shot, I'd probably need to lie down for a second as well. Yeah, I think it's a really sore one that for Chiari. I think the referee will probably use this as an opportunity to go for the hydration break regardless, but it's a lot of power on that strike straight to the face. Yeah, as I say, depending on how he positioned his neck and everything, that could have really jarred as well. But the referee, absolutely correct call there from my colleague. A referee has used this because we are at 22.5 minutes, so we are going to get to the hydration break now. And overall, you think Curacao, they've conceded an early goal, but certainly we can't fault their work ethic. Trouble is, they're not really getting enough of the ball, are they? No, they're really not. I think the stats back that up as well. 70% possession for Ivory Coast, and I think rightly so. Ivory Coast are going to be the stronger side, and they're going to want to go forward a bit more, but 1-0 down, they're certainly not out of this game yet. No, they're not, and so the two physios there checking on Yuri and Ngari, whilst the rest of the players quickly get some fluids in. See a few of them also putting on some, I don't know if they're sort of cooling bibs or something like that. It's almost akin to what the F1 players wear, F1 drivers wear, I should say, when they have heat warnings. All those pipes passing through their racing fatigues. But we're getting another replay here. I mean, it's a catalogue of errors here from Curacao. They should have stopped the first ball towards the edge of the area. Then they were exchanging passes, and on 2 occasions they gave the ball away there. Really, Ivory Coast got a whole series of gifts there in that one. Yeah, they certainly did, but listen, it was still clinical from Ivory Coast to put the ball in the back of the net. You've got to make the most of your opponent's mistakes, and I think if this game goes the distance and Curacao can maybe pull off a draw in this game, they'll look to that mistake or series of mistakes and feel very hard done by. They certainly will, as Nicola Pepe getting some pointers there from a couple of his teammates. There is a couple of his substitutes, so we can see now the Curacao players just getting a couple of pointers there from Dick Abacat and his coaches as well. Everything looks okay here with Yuri Ngari, although the physio's still checking with him. He still looks quite groggy, though.
Yeah, he certainly does. I think, I mean, you get hit in the head, you never really know how a player is going to respond. But listen, if I'm sure the medical professionals will do everything they can to get him back on the pitch. But if he can't continue, well, the managers will have been made known aware of it, and he would have been brought off. So a little groggy, but I'm sure he'll get back into the game.
I mean, this is a big occasion, of course, a match which could potentially see his small nation find its way into the knockout stage of the World Cup at their first attempt at being in a World Cup. So I'd imagine he really would have to be dragged off the field before he would agree to go off. But the hydration break slowly now coming to an end. And unlike in other games where it's not actually been needed for heat reasons, it really is needed today. As I say, 28, 29 degrees in Philadelphia right now. So it makes perfect sense that the players would go off and have a bit of a hydration break. But we're all set to restart now. It is Curacao 0, Ivory Coast 1, 26 minutes on the clock, and it will be Dale to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, and just touching back on the point for, obviously, Gary as well. 32 years of age, probably won't make another World Cup, even if Curacao were to qualify. So, a big occasion for not only his nation, but for him personally. He certainly won't want to leave the pitch in any way, shape or form. As the referee is going to restart play with looks to be a drop ball in favour of Ivory Coast and Amad Diallo. So it'll be an uncontested drop ball just on the right hand side of the Curacao half, as Diallo plays it all the way back to Sangare and then Diamande, and now Ivory Coast coming forward up the left hand side. Brené up against his man Diamande on the left hand side. Plays it back once more to Sangare. 1-2 with Kessier. Can he make it into the box? No, he can't. The return ball from the Ivory Coast captain slightly overhit, and Curacao coming away with possession out towards Locadia. His pass is short though, as Chung can't get on the end of it, and allows Sangare to win possession back for Ivory Coast. And I think they'll certainly want to control the game a little bit more. We've seen these hydration breaks reinvigorate teams over the course of the tournament, and Ivory Coast won't want to allow that to happen for Curacao.
No, absolutely. I mean, we've heard other managers talking about the fact that in certain games it does the opposite effect, that a team that's got a bit of a bounce suddenly loses it because we've had this break in play that you don't normally have in a game of football. But it's, as I say, it is what it is. It's not the first time. I would imagine most players who've played during COVID times and who've played in any European league where it does get hot in the start or the end of the season will know what these breaks are. So it's not as if it's a complete novelty, but you just got to try and get on with it. And from Curacao's point of view, they've got to do a bit more, because here come Ivory Coast.
Yeah, Jan Diamande driving to the byline. Has he won his side of corner? Yes, he has. The referee not really debating that one there internally. He saw a touch off a Curacao man and pointed to the corner flag. Jan Diamande, of course, plays on the right for Leipzig, but playing on the left in this game.
Yeah, he's been asked to play on the left, and clearly he's still very comfortable in that position, because he's actually had quite a bit of joy on that left-hand side. Him and Ahmad have had a decent start. Short corner.
Yeah, short corner back to Diamande. His ball into the box is blocked by the first man in Locadia. So it goes behind for a throw-in. Ivory Coast is certainly a position for a long throw-in specialist if they've got one. As, looks like they're going to line up for it, but they've thrown it short nonetheless.
Because Sangare, he does them for Forest, doesn't he? But for whatever reason, they don't want to employ him on this occasion.
Yeah, they've taken it short, but Sangare in possession, so they'll maybe look to operate a similar to a quarterback role, where he can sit deep and fire the ball essentially anywhere on the pitch he wants. But he's found a Curacao man, so clearly not too much effectiveness. As Bakuna tries to... Well, he messes about with the ball a little bit too much inside his own half, giving Ivory Coast the ball back, but they've won it back just as quickly. Have Curacao as Chunk out towards this left-hand side, and Locadia has dropped very deep to pick this ball up as he comes forward up the left-hand side. Now with Bakuna again, right towards the corner flag, as his ball into the box is blocked and deflected, so it will go behind for a Curacao corner. I think set pieces will be crucial for Curacao to get back into this game as well. I don't think they win the battle in terms of height and aerial prowess, but a good ball into the box, and that's irrelevant.
It is, absolutely, and we've not seen anything really from set pieces from Curacao in this game as yet. So it is something they're going to have to try and employ as best as possible. It's going to be Leandro Bacuna with the in-swinger.
And the right-footed in-swinger from the left-hand side. The Curacao man does have a short option through the lens of his brother. Juninho Bacuna. Doesn't look like he's going to use him though, as everyone lines up inside the area. The referee doing a little housekeeping before the ball inevitably comes into the box, in towards the near post, headed away well by Bonnie. Back out towards Bacuna as he touches it down and draws the challenge from Amad Diallo, winning a throw-in on that right-hand side, and Bacuna still with the ball now. The throw-in was taken quickly, but the Bacuna brothers linking up well, winning another one on this right-hand side. So a little bit of a cul-de-sac realistically for Curacao, as they struggled to actually get out of that corner when they won the throw. But potentially a long throw-in now, as Floranis comes up towards this left-hand side and everyone lines up inside the penalty area. So certainly going to be a long throw. I've not seen Floranis' throw, but they're standing far away, and it's far into the area, headed up into the sky. The goalkeeper comes out to claim it, and he does so well, but also wins his side a free kick. The challenge from Lecardia, too much, says the referee. I think he's got every right there.
Well, the ball goes up in the air. We'll see from this replay here, as the ball goes up in the air. It's is it Comencencia that gets tangles with the keeper there a little bit? I mean, the ball is there to be won, but then there's the thing that I don't like about Comencencia there is that he spends more time looking at the goalkeeper rather than the ball. Yeah,
I don't think he looks up at the ball, sees it in the sky, and then keeps his eyes trained on the goalkeeper. I think it's the right decision from Nyberg in the end, and Ivory Coast will have the free kick inside their own penalty area. So Fofana to take it, cleared out of his box into the centre circle, which Curacao win the first ball, but Ivory Coast winning the second. Pass up towards Amad Diallo on the right hand side though, mistouched and over the touchline, so Curacao with the throw. And Dick Advocat having some stern words with his players there, really not liking that they won the first ball but didn't actually keep it, and instead given possession straight back to Ivory Coast, because of course that's the one thing they don't want to do. Is yes, Ivory Coast will control the game a bit more, but they don't want to give up control.
No, absolutely. And from Curaçao's point of view, I mean, they don't need to give the ball to Ivory Coast, because Ivory Coast are going to get plenty of it anyway. And that's what Dick Advocat, I think, was just getting a little bit frustrated with there, that his side have already got a difficult task against Ivory Coast. Now they're 1-0 down, and in addition to that, they've also given them freebies in possession, so they're making it a little bit too easy here for Ivory Coast.
Yes, Guala Doué with the ball, plays it back towards Diamande. The centre half, of course, it's always a commentator's nightmare when you've got players with the same second name. We've got two-pair team, really, with the two Bacunas and the two Diamandes. As Ivory Coast win a free kick just inside the Curacao half. Amad Diallo just feeling the pressure on his back from Leandro Bacuna. Going to ground, allowing the free kick to be given. Easy decision really from the referee. Ivory Coast now with the ball inside their own half, just on the left hand side, as Perry plays it in towards Yan Diamande, and then along the back line as Usman Diamande plays it once more to Sangarian. Yeah, I think Ivory Coast just slowing the game down. I think the chaotic nature almost suits Curacao just a little bit more. Yes, Ivory Coast have the pace and the speed to deal with a fast-paced game, but when you can't really understand what your opponents are going to do, that's when issues arise. As they come forward now along the right-hand side, Nicola Pepe trying to feed a pass into Bonnie, but it's been half cleared away. Now towards this left-hand side as Diamande, he finds a Perry, once more to Bonnie. His pass, though, intercepted, and the free kick is won by Tahith Chong. Nicola Pepe, the culprit on this occasion.
It is, yeah, and it will be a free kick, and it's going to be a booking here as well. The referee's not happy with Pepe, and yeah, that's a stamp, that's a tread down there on Tati Chong. It's I'm not going to give him the excuse of saying it's a centre forwards tackle, because that's not really a sliding tackle, that's just him stamping down on Chong when really he should have seen the ball was never going to be won anyway.
Yeah, no real reason for Pepe to go into that challenge, I think. And I think that's a reason that a thing that referees don't necessarily look at is what the mindset of players going into the tackle was, because I don't see a way that Pepe really thought he was going to win that ball.
No, I don't either. I think he was just a little bit overzealous, in the same way that Curacao want to do their best for their country to try and get back into this game. Obviously, Ivory Coast want to do their best to try and make things as difficult as possible. As a ball played back, that's a really awkward ball. The goalkeeper's having to head this one out. Still half a chance here for Ivory Coast at the edge of the area.
Yeah, Diallo in towards Pepe. Miscommunication there. I think Pepe thought Diallo was going to bounce off of him, but in the end just passes it straight to Curacao. Yeah,
just a little bit too easy there in the end. Curacao giving the ball away, but then very quickly winning it straight back. But then a long clearance. That's still the problem here for Curacao, is that they're not... We don't want them to play out from the back every time because it's too much of a risk. But then if they're just going to punt it long every time, they're going to give it away as well. So they're in a little bit of a catch-22 at the moment.
Yeah, I think the predictability of Curacao at the moment is really what's allowing Ivory Coast to just stamp their mark on this game and really control it. As Singare, he finds a Perry on this left-hand side. Diamande is slightly on that inside channel, so he didn't really have the passing option. All the way back to Custino. Now with Due again. Ahmed Diallo. I think they've had more success up this right-hand side in this game, have Ivory Coast so far. Ahmed Diallo going to ground after the challenge. I'm not sure which Curacao player it was who committed that challenge, but a free kick has been given the way of Ivory Coast.
Yep, will be a free kick to Ivory Coast and a chance now to try and send that ball forward, as Ahmad was looking for options. Nice spin and turn there as well, but in the end Floranis just getting completely tangled with him there with no real effort to play the ball at all.
Yeah, similar to the Pepe challenge really, the only difference being he was nowhere near as aggressive or dangerous in his play to win the ball back, or at least to make the challenge at least. As Perry is the man standing over this free kick. Fullback looking to put a ball into the area, fired in towards the back post. Can Curacao clear it away? In the end they'll header it back to their goalkeeper, but it looked messy there for a moment defensively for Curacao. But in the end it's in the hands of Room and they'll come away with the ball, but I mean, it's just not looking, they're not striking us with confidence that they can really defend how Ivory Coast are coming forward. They're just hoping that the numbers can do it. As a ball into the box, fired across goal, no one can get on the end of it to direct a shot on target. It'll actually filter all the way through to the corner flag. Nicola Pepe will win it back. He'll find Kessie, then once more to Diallo. He'll find Pepe on this right hand side, and again these two are linking up well. Quick short passes between Pepe and Diallo. Edge of the area. Kessie, Sangare, Pepe, back to Sangare, and they've lost possession now. Have Ivory Coast. Curacao will come away with the ball, looking to break on the counter, but I guess it's the one real weakness of Tahi Chong's game, is that he's not actually the fastest. He certainly does have some space and some pace, and if he's got space to run into, he can make the most of it, but he's not going to break away from a defender.
He's not, no. He has other facets to his game which make him the very good player that he, or the excellent player that he is, but yeah, sort of blistering speed isn't one of them, but he knows that, and he's adapted his game accordingly to be a little bit more technical, a little bit more difficult to dispossess, but that's not good from Juninho Bacuna there, I beg your pardon. A ball that he just let go through his legs and he wasn't able to chase it down. But then his brother Leandro, they're doing his best to try and win that ball back for Curacao. They really are pressing when Ivory Coast are still inside their own half, but generally speaking, Ivory Coast are able to cope with it.
Yeah, they are. I think as the game's gone on, Curacao have had less and less chances because Ivory Coast have figured out what they have to do to defend against them. Similar to what I was saying moments ago about Tahi Chong, he doesn't have the pace, but he has the technical ability, and on the far side, it's the opposite. I'd say Juninho Bacuna has that pace to break away, but maybe it isn't as technically gifted as Chong. So it's just about balancing the skill set that your wingers do have. There's a ball on the right-hand side, finds Lecadia. Laid back once more to Chong. He'll unleash a shot from range, and I think he's always scuffed that there. I think the camera has made it look closer than it was, but still not a bad effort.
He certainly put his foot. It was a decent strike from Chong in terms of how the ball projected, but it may well be that it was dragging wide. We'll just see from this replay as Lecadia plays it back to him. Yeah, well, it wasn't too bad actually. As I say, it was always just a little bit skewing wide, but actually the technique and the way he hits the ball, I think it's a really nice strike.
It certainly is from Tahi Chong. the Sheffield United man, as Ivory Coast get the game back underway with a short goal kick, which is then being played long up towards Nicola Pepe. His touch not the greatest though, as Floranis fires it into the area, and Lecadia laying it off for a teammate there, but just not having the reinforcements that he's maybe hoping that he does. I mean, at some point we are going to have to see Curacao start to commit numbers higher and higher up the pitch, because they need goals.
They do. I just think we're not going to see it before the break. I think that whatever plans they have to try and ramp it up, Dick Advocat's going to keep them on ice until the second half, because potentially they've got to make sure they can see out this first half with only a 1-0 deficit. It's not as if Ivory Coast are on the cusp of getting a second goal, but you just get the feeling that from open play there's always more of a chance of the Ivorians doing something, and they've actually been quite close with a couple of balls to Pepe. He could have controlled better, and Ahmad with a couple of efforts that have gone wide. So actually Ivory Coast are still feeling pretty confident in this game, even though they're probably a couple of levels below they'd like to be.
Yeah, certainly seems to be the case, as Kasunu in possession for Ivory Coast. Not really all too many options ahead of him, so he'll go back to Usman Diamande. His pass is even worse as Steve Chong picks up the loose ball. He can't keep possession though, and Ivory Coast can sigh a breath of relief really, because that could have been dangerous if they allowed Heath Chung to just run through. It really could have been dangerous, as the ball from Sangari finds Yan Diamande. Now once more to Perry, back to Sangari. Kessier out to Perry on this left hand side. His ball into the box, charged down well by Brené on that far side. And as you said earlier, Paul, it really is a back five. They're not really pushing forward the two wing backs, as you call it. They certainly are full backs.
Yes, they are. They've got three at the back with two full backs, which in this day and age is almost unheard of. I'm old enough to remember a time when there were very defensive teams that would actually come out like that, but it was quite rare. But certainly from Curaçao's point of view, they are really trying to make those channels as difficult as possible, as it's a ball in from Yan Diamande.
Yeah, and it's in towards the near post, easily pounced upon by Lecadia, and Curaçao looking to break along this right-hand side, and Tahith Chong trying to break away from Nicola Pepe. Pepe's always got him for pace, but he's kept the ball. Has Chong. He'll have to switch the play though, checked his run, and it's allowed the Ivorian players to get back, and they've got a touch on the ball and knocked it out for a throw-in, thanks to Johan Bonny's attempts to win the ball back. But curious decision from Chong there to try and beat Pepe for pace.
It was weird. Yeah, I mean, he was fast enough to get to the ball and keep it away from Pepe, as you mentioned, but there was never any chance of him getting 2 or 3 yards on Nicola Pepe. Pepe's a very fast player, and yeah, there seemed like there was other options there for Chong. He might have looked to have played a square pass a little bit earlier, but just looking at the two benches, I mean, certainly from Ivory Coast point of view, I mean, attacking options straight away from players that we know from the Premier League. Guessant springs to mind. Adingra certainly springs to mind as well. These are players that we've seen in the past playing in the English league, and there's certainly a couple of options in terms of padding out that midfield as well. But for the time being, Glenn Nyberg is just trying to get one of the Ivorians to calm down, and it looks like it's it's actually Johan Bonny who hasn't had the best of first halves, I would argue.
No, he's certainly not. I don't think he's touched the ball all too much, and he's probably given away as many free kicks as he had shots or touches inside the opposition box. But coming forward now, Bacuna with the strike inside the box, and he's just dragged it too far on his near side. Unable to keep the shot on target, but he's done well to dance through 2 or 3 Ivorian players there.
Yeah, he does really well to get through the 2 Ivorian players, but then maybe just a little bit too selfish to go for goal. So we're getting a ref cam replay of that one, and you can always see that the angles were against him. Right footer shooting from that left-hand side.
Yeah, certainly isn't the easiest of shots to pull off, but nonetheless, it's positive signs for Advocat's side, because we said early on that they weren't really pulling the trigger all too much, and maybe a little frustration from them is forcing them to take these shots on a little bit more. But we're into the 44th minute, so we'll find out how much at a time. I don't think there'll be all too much. We've not had too many stoppages inside the first half, but in terms of attempts at goal and shots on target, both teams are equal. 4 4 shots at goal, but only one of them on target apiece.
Absolutely. One shot on target each, and it's the shot on target from Ivory Coast has given them the lead in this game. Long ball now played towards Ahmad. He may have been in an offside position, but the ball doesn't reach him anyway. Curacao now trying to get the ball away here with Juninho Bacuna, but he ends up running it out of play. No, I think there are certainly some positives from Curacao. I think if you're Dick Advocat, of course, he'll know these players and he'll know the right balance. There's no point in shouting them at half-time because they're not Premier League players or they're not sort of Serie A players. He knows what players he has to work with. So it's just a case of how he channels what they're capable of doing and perhaps just proving to be a bit more of a test for Ivory Coast, because right now I think that there's been too many spells in this first half where it's just been too easy for the Ivorians.
Yeah, it certainly has, as the board goes up on the sideline in 4 minutes of added time.
Well, 3 of that would have been the hydration break, I would assume, and then we've had the head injury as well. But a long throw now into the Curacao penalty area. Body can't get on the end of it, but it will be an attacking throw.
It'll be an attacking throw on this right-hand side. Will they allow Sangari to come across to take it? They won't. It seems like it'll be Dewey to take it short, or at least short comparatively to a long throw, as he finds Bonnie, and his shot skews off the side net. Yes,
Bonnie and Sekesi there, and he wasn't able to get that effort on target. Shot dragged wide in the end, and it is out for a goal kick. But yeah, I think from Ivory Coast points of view, they just need to be a little bit more clear. I think that there have been a few comments of hearing what the worldwide journalists have been saying. Certainly from Ivory Coast points of view, they were a bit disappointed that it was such a flat performance against Ecuador, albeit they won the game 1-0. Then they were frustrated to lose 2 late goals against Germany. That would have been a famous win for Ivory Coast to beat Germany in a World Cup game. So it sort of puts everything on this game, and you just almost feel that they're still a little bit sort of not quite at the races yet in this tournament, Ivory Coast.
And a free kick has been won for Curacao inside the Ivory Coast half. And just going back to that throw-in situation, it's curious that they're not allowing Sangari to take the long throw, especially when you've got a player like Bonnie inside the penalty area.
It is strange. I mean, as I say, he knows how to take a long throw. We've seen that for Nottingham Forest, but for whatever reason, he's not been trusted with that today. Maybe it's just a tactic that Emerse Faye, the Ivory Coast manager, just isn't interested in using. But here's the free kick now for Curacao.
Yes, Leandro Bacuna delivering it in towards the edge of the area. I don't think that's necessarily where we wanted it to go. Nonetheless, Ivory Coast will deal with it, and they'll clear it up towards the halfway line, where Curacao have won the ball back as Leandro Bacuna on this left-hand side looks to switch the play. He's got space to run into, does Chong. Heavy touch though allows the Ivorians to get back. Plays the ball round the corner, finding Comenencia, and then Chong again, edge of the area. It's a good pass and move play from Curacao, ball in towards the back post as Juninho Bacuna takes a touch, brings it down well, but allows the Ivorian centre-half to come across and make the challenge.
Yeah, makes the challenge, wins Curacao the corner, so with 90 seconds of injury time still to play in this first half, a decent chance here now for Curacao. Everyone arriving inside the penalty area. Yahya Fofana trying to be lively on his toes. He's not had too much work to do, the goalkeeper. He's got to be paying attention. Here comes the in-swinger from Juninho Bacuna.
Yeah, in towards the near post, and we'll get a replay because it's an easy header away for Anjoan Bonnie, and I think we're seeing a similar story for both sides from the corners, that they want to put it into the near post, but each other's centre forward is just too easily winning it for their own side, as Juninho Bacuna again, ball into the box. He goes completely flat this time, and again it's an easy clear away for Bonnie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming that was intentional to play that last one along the ground, but it didn't quite reach its intended target, and it was hooked away for a throw a long way from goal. But Cheryl Floranis is going to try and launch this one into the penalty area.
Yeah, Floranis certainly has the range from this distance, as it fired into the area, flicked on once more, and then cleared away by Ivory Coast. Maybe one last chance for them to bomb forward here, but the ball has been won back by Gary, all the way back to Room. As Curacao just slow the ball down a little bit. I think at this rate they might be happy to go in to half-time 1-0 down, as the ball is fired up the left-hand side. Headers won by Dewey, and it's cleared away off the left-hand side and behind for a throw-in actually, but Nicola Pepe has gone down holding his head.
Well, what I don't understand is why the referee's still playing on. I mean, Pepe's hit the deck, so obviously he's going to need to have some treatment. I think the ball's just gone off his face, or it might just be the hand from the Curacao player just as he's hitting the ground that might have just upset Nicola Pepe there. But whatever it is, yeah, there's a little bit of a hand across there from Janino Bacuna. But we've had the full 4 minutes, so we should have had half-time by now.
Yeah, well, it certainly would have been the case as Nicola Pepe back up on his feet, although he certainly is looking like he's squinting a little bit, maybe a little disoriented. But that is the end of the first half. Nyberg blows his whistle for half-time, and only the 1 goal difference so far. Ivory Coast leading thanks to Nicola Pepe's goal in the 7th minute. So at half-time, it's Curacao 0, Ivory Coast 1.